Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered if we're truly alone? What if I told you that for thousands of years, something has been watching us from above? This is the story of the Black Knight satellite, a mysterious dark object said to be orbiting our planet. A silent sentinel that predates all of human space exploration. Some believe it's an alien probe, an ancient relic from a forgotten civilization, while others dismiss it as nothing more than space junk. But the story is far too compelling to ignore. Let's peel back the layers of myth and reality and journey into one of the most enduring mysteries of the space age. The tale of the Black Knight often begins not in space, but on the ground. With one of history's greatest minds, Nikola Tesla. In 1899, while working in his Colorado Springs laboratory, Tesla was experimenting with high-voltage radio transmissions. He began picking up strange rhythmic signals. He was convinced they weren't of terrestrial origin. He theorized they were intelligent signals, perhaps from Mars or another planet. While Tesla never called it the Black Knight, conspiracy theorists see this as the first breadcrumb, the first hint that someone or something was trying to communicate with us from the vast emptiness of space. Fast forward to the 1920s, amateur radio operators started reporting a bizarre phenomenon known as long-delayed echoes, or LDEs. When they transmitted a signal into space, they would sometimes receive an echo of that signal back, not just fractions of a second later as expected, but several seconds later. This delay was far too long to be explained by a simple reflection of the ionosphere. It was as if something out there was catching their signal and deliberately transmitting it back. Scientists were baffled. One of the leading researchers, a Norwegian named Jørgen Hals, first documented these strange echoes. He couldn't explain them. It was another piece of the puzzle. Could Tesla's signals and these long-delayed echoes be connected? Was an object in orbit responsible for this cosmic game of catch? The mystery deepened as humanity entered the space age. In 1954, years before Sputnik was even launched, major newspapers like the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the San Francisco Examiner ran sensational headlines. They quoted a retired naval aviation major and UFO researcher Donald Keyhoe, who claimed the U.S. Air Force had detected 2 satellites orbiting Earth. This was impossible at the time. No country had the technology to launch a satellite. Where did they come from? The articles sparked a frenzy of speculation. Were these natural objects, or were they artificial? The name Black Knight hadn't been coined yet, but the idea of an unknown, dark satellite was now firmly planted in the public's imagination. Then, in 1960, the US Navy's radar system, designed to detect Soviet spy satellites, picked up something else entirely. It was a dark, tumbling object in a near-polar orbit, something neither the US nor the Soviets had launched. It was estimated to be several times larger than any known man-made object at the time. A special committee was even formed to study it, but no official explanation was ever released. The object seemed to appear and disappear from radar screens, adding to its mystique. Time magazine even ran an article about it, calling it the dark satellite. It was an enigma. It didn't behave like a normal satellite, and its origin was a total mystery. Perhaps one of the most compelling pieces of anecdotal evidence comes from a legendary NASA astronaut, Gordon Cooper. During his final Mercury mission in 1963, Cooper reported seeing a greenish glowing object approaching his capsule while orbiting over Australia. The object was tracked on the ground by the Machia tracking station. The story goes that the event was even reported to NBC, but when Cooper landed, reporters were told they were not allowed to question him about the sighting. Cooper was a decorated pilot and one of the original Mercury 7 astronauts, not someone prone to making up stories. He maintained for the rest of his life that he believed in extraterrestrial life and that governments were covering up evidence. For believers in the Black Knight, Cooper's sighting was the smoking gun, a confirmation from a credible eyewitness that something extraordinary was up there. But the story doesn't end there. In the decades that followed, more strange signals and unexplained observations were linked to the growing legend of the Black Knight. The final and perhaps most famous piece of the puzzle came in 1998 during the Space Shuttle Endeavour's STS-88 mission, the first mission to the International Space Station. Astronauts on board took a series of stunning, high-resolution photographs of a strange, dark, and jagged object floating against the backdrop of Earth. The images were released on NASA's website, and they were breathtaking. For conspiracy theorists, this was it. This was the Black Knight. The object looked artificial, complex, and unlike any known satellite or piece of debris. It seemed to perfectly match the decades of stories and speculation. The photos went viral. Here was tangible, visual proof from NASA itself. The object's bizarre, almost sculpted shape fueled theories that it was a damaged alien ship or an ancient probe that had finally been caught on camera. The internet buzzed with analysis, with people claiming to see patterns and technology in its twisted form. The Black Knight had finally revealed itself. So, what's the official story? As you might expect, NASA has an explanation for pretty much everything. Let's start with those famous STS-288 photos. According to NASA, the object is not an alien satellite, but something much more mundane, a thermal blanket during an extravehicular activity, or either a thermal blanket was accidentally lost by the astronauts. They say the blanket, designed to protect equipment from extreme temperatures, tumbled away from the shuttle and, caught in the sunlight, took on its strange, contorted shape. The photos, they claim, are simply well-documented images of a piece of space junk. It's a plausible explanation, but for many, it feels a little too convenient. What about the other pieces of evidence? The 1960s dark satellite detected by radar. Most astronomers now believe it was likely a remnant of a failed Discoverer satellite launch, a polar orbiting spy satellite whose booster casing was left adrift in a similar orbit. The strange radio echoes from the 1920s. Scientists have proposed several natural explanations, such as signals traveling through the magnetosphere and bouncing back in complex ways. And Nikola Tesla's signals. Well, Tesla was working with brand new, incredibly sensitive equipment. Modern science suggests he was likely picking up natural radio waves from space, like pulsars, which hadn't been discovered yet. To him, they would have seemed artificial and intelligent. So, is the Black Knight just a myth? A collection of unrelated events, misinterpretations, and space junk all woven together into a grand conspiracy. That's the scientific consensus. Each piece of evidence for the Black Knight, when examined individually, seems to have a perfectly rational terrestrial explanation. There's no single confirmed object that has been tracked and identified as this 13,000-year-old alien artifact. The story seems to be a modern myth, born from our fascination with the unknown and our desire to believe that we're part of a larger cosmic story. But the legend persists. And why is that? Because it's a fantastic story. The idea of a silent, ancient watcher in our orbit, a remnant of a long-lost civilization, is incredibly captivating. It taps into our deepest questions about our place in the universe. Even if the Black Knight is just a thermal blanket, a rocket fragment, and a series of radio anomalies, the story itself tells us something important about ourselves. It shows our boundless imagination and our unending quest for answers. It's a reminder that even as we explore the furthest reaches of the cosmos, there are still mysteries right here in our own backyard, orbiting just above our heads. The truth might be space debris, but the legend of the Black Knight satellite will likely continue to inspire awe and wonder for generations to come. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the Black Knight mystery. What do you believe? Is it an alien probe or just a series of coincidences? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring the world's greatest mysteries, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more adventures into the unknown. See you next time.